Morning, everybody. Today we are on lesson 70. My salvation comes from me. All temptation is nothing more than some form of the basic temptation not to believe the idea for today. Salvation seems to come from anywhere except from you. So too does the source of guilt. You see neither guilt nor salvation as in your own mind and nowhere else. When you realize that all guilt is solely an invention of your mind, you also realize that guilt and salvation must be in the same place. In understanding this, you are saved. The seeming cost of accepting today's idea is this. It means that nothing outside yourself can save you. Nothing outside yourself can give you peace. But it also means that nothing outside yourself can hurt you or disturb your peace or upset you in any way. Today's idea places you in charge of the universe, where you belong because of what you are. This is not a role that can be partially accepted, and you must surely begin to see that accepting it is salvation. It may not, however, be clear to you why the recognition that guilt is in your own mind entails the realization that salvation is there as well. God would not have put the remedy for the sickness where it cannot help. That is the way your mind has worked, but hardly his. He wants you to be healed, so he has kept the source of healing where the need for healing lies. You have tried to do just the opposite, making every attempt, however distorted and fantastic it might be, to separate healing from the sickness for which it was intended, and thus keep the sickness. Your purpose was to ensure that healing did not occur. Great Spirit's purpose was to ensure that it did. Today we practice realizing that Great Spirit's will and ours are really the same in this. Great Spirit wants us to be healed, and we do not really want to be sick because it makes us unhappy. Therefore, in accepting the idea for today, we are really in agreement with Great Spirit. It does not want us to be sick, neither do we. He wants us to be healed. So do we. We are ready for 2 longer practice periods today, each of which should last some 10 to 15 minutes. We will, however, still let you decide when to undertake them. We will follow this practice for a number of lessons, and it would again be well to decide in advance when would be a good time to lay aside for each of them, and then adhering to your own decisions as closely as possible. Begin these practice periods by repeating the idea for today, adding a statement signifying your recognition for salvation, your recognition that salvation comes from nothing outside of you. You might put it in this way. My salvation comes from me. It cannot come from anywhere else. Then devote a few minutes with your eyes closed to reviewing some of the external places where you have looked for salvation in the past, in other people and possessions, in various situations and events, and in self-concepts that you sought to make real. Recognize that it is not there and tell yourself, my salvation cannot come from any of these things. My salvation comes from me and only from me. Now we will try again to reach the light in you, which is where your salvation is. You cannot find it in the clouds that surround the light, and it is in them you have been looking for it. It is not there. It is past the clouds and in the light beyond. Remember that you will have to go through the clouds before you can reach the light. But remember also that you have never found anything in the cloud patterns you imagined that endured or that you wanted. Since all illusion of salvation have failed you, surely you do not want to remain in the clouds, looking vainly for idols there when you could so easily walk on into the light for real salvation. Try to pass the clouds by whatever means appeals to you. If it helps you, think of me holding your hand and leading you. And I assure you this will be no idle fantasy. For the short and frequent practice periods today, remind yourself that your salvation comes from you, and nothing but your own thoughts can hamper your progress. You are free from all external interference. You are in charge of your salvation. You are in charge of the salvation of the world. Say then, my salvation comes from me. Nothing outside of me can hold me back. Within me is the world's salvation and my own. I like the metaphor they use of like the clouds and walking through them to get to the light. We tend to make our struggle so solid, like a brick wall, when really it is clouds. And it's something we walk through, something that's fogging our vision. When our vision's clouded, it's hard to see. And sometimes when it's hard to see, it gets scary because we don't know where we're going and we clutch to just stay where we're used to staying. And for me, I'm used to staying in the clouds, in the struggle, in the uncertainty, trying to grasp for certainty, grasping to the only certainty that I know, which isn't necessarily great or comfortable or serving. And we also, for me, still fall back into blaming the outside world for my experience, for my emotions, for my reality, and trying to change that outside world and external circumstances to make my life better and to achieve what I want to achieve. And even right now, it feels like I want to lean into that instead of remembering that I get to lean into my inner world, my internal world, my relationship with self. And in doing so, that provides me safety, that provides me love, leaning into great spirit, surrendering, accepting that I don't know what I'm doing, that it really is about forgiveness and compassion and love. And that in order to share that with others and express that into the world and experience that with others, it's for me first. And there's some guilt right now that this is going to be beautiful for. That's been hard for me to shake. Something that's been hard for me to forgive myself. And I know the way that I work is that in order to forgive myself, I have to ensure that it's never going to happen again. And that's what I'm in the process of doing. To rid myself of the guilt, I need to make sure that it's never going to happen again. And it's so interesting because the road to forgiving myself for me, which is ensuring that it'll never happen again, is to forgive myself and build this connection within myself and spirit and be solid in that, not have. It's such a conundrum, such a paradox, as is life. So I know my mind's a little fuzzy today in taking in the lesson. So I'm going to close it out. You guys have a great day. Bye.